Okay, great. Thank you. Hi, I'm Denise Brennan. I work for Monica in the Boston office. I've been working with her almost 10 years as she was vice chair of the group while it was under the chairmanship of Rich Shilsky, and then through her tenure as group chair currently. This is Bobby. He is a budget specialist that works with the Alliance Foundation Trials. So we're going to talk a little bit about a broad range of budgets, just to give you an overview, and if there's any specific questions, we're happy to answer. So we have different types of budgets within the Alliance. We have federal grant budgets, biomarker budgets, and supplements and contracts. And the Boston and Chicago offices prepare and submit these to the National Cancer Institute. Then we have foundation budgets, which help us to gain support from industry in support of NCTN studies that you've also learned about today. And this is an activity that's done by Vance, myself, and a project manager, Denise and Vance, a project manager within the foundation. Then we also have AFT budgets, which Bobby prepares with the AFT team for industry-only funded studies. And the basics of a budget, these are different categories that make up what's part of direct cost. So it's the salary and personnel costs you have, salary and fringe, consultant costs, equipment, supplies, travel, inter-outpatient care. It belongs in a typical budget when you're supporting a clinical trial, but it doesn't relate to our Alliance trials because we aren't paying for specific care at any of our centers. And then we also are not allowed any alterations or renovations within our grants, and then a general category of other expenses. Then if you're a multi-center effort, like we are within the Alliance, we fund other parts of the Alliance through subawards, and that falls under the part of a budget called a consortium contractual cost. So we, at the Brigham, as a prime awardee, will take in the grant, and then we'll sub some money to Jeannie's office so she can pay the protocol coordinators and other various parts, Mayo Clinic, Duke, MD Anderson, that make up, that comprise the financial and underpinnings of the work that we do. So as I said, these are subawards to other sites, and the money that is given to them incorporates their local IDCs. But us as the prime awarding this, we just get like a little administrative fee, and we get a certain percentage on the first $25,000 that we're subbing to an external party. And then the combined budgets of the direct costs that we have and then the consortium costs makes up the whole total cost budget. So you're well aware there's a variety of all kinds of grants that are out there, training grants, R1s, K grants. The Alliance receives 3 main U10s for our operations, which is at the Brigham, the Stat Center at Mayo, and then the NCORE network, which is also the research base is out of Mayo Clinic. And then we have many subaward sites across all 3 of these grants. And then we're able to apply for some specific funding, which is goes by the acronym of BISWIC, and that is either a supplement to our grant, the prime grant at Brigham, or a separate contract through a different government mechanism. For the foundation, what that has is a funding agreement with industry to supplement our federal grants, and we also separately fundraise for meeting support for these Alliance meetings, and some awards that the foundation offers, scholar awards. And we just announced a new fellowship just this morning, I think. And then within AFT, that group contracts directly with the industry partner that they're working with, the Pfizers and the BMSs and the Mercks of the world. So for this biomarker supplement, it stands for Biomarker Imaging and Quality Life Studies Funding Program. The concept and proposal for integrated or integral biomarkers and a budget and justification go into CTEP in a specific group in CTEP to review these. And typically the budgets there are for paying an internal or an external lab to analyze a sample that's integral or integrated into your study. So it could be, does the patient with colon cancer have a certain gene mutation or not? And then there's also some imaging. We've paid for PET scans in some of our studies via this mechanism. And then we also have funds like in the alternate study for breast cancer, where we're paying sites for biopsies, in addition to the WashU lab that's actually taking the biopsies and looking at K67 and other variety of things. So this review of this supplemental budget for these biomarkers goes into CTEP with the review of the concept, and typically it's been awarded as a supplement to our grant. Foundation budgets. The foundation trials are considered by the industry partners as investigator initiated. During the concept development, the study chair will make contact with a company to determine if there's an interest in providing drug for our study or extra funding. So typically the executive officers, myself and a project manager are the main contacts throughout the negotiations. We join in at the stage of scientific committee review, and we go over comments with the study chair. Then we work to build a budget and submit it to the company portal for review. And then we start initiating regular contacts with the company team and our team to get through negotiation of a budget and signing off an agreement. And the goal for most of these agreements is to sign it by the time the study is activated. So the support from a foundation budget supports protocol staff in the central office, data management, stats, time and effort at the stats and data center, supplemental sites to our payments, and sometimes payment of non-standard of care visits that a protocol requires. Or it could be to cover the cost of drug or distribution services, pathology or correlative science projects within the study. Oops.
Hi guys, nice to meet you all. I just joined. I want to take a brief 1 minute just to introduce myself. So I just joined AFT about 7 months ago, and this is my first investigator-initiated company I've ever worked for. Prior to this company, I was with the pharmaceutical called Takeda Pharmaceuticals in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Prior to that, I worked at the CRO and also MIT. So this is my first one. I'm excited to meet you all. I know we're all in this together as a team, so I just want to take the time to introduce myself, and I can then talk about the investigator-initiated budgets and the process. So before we get the concept going, it's the key to jumpstart the whole process is that we have to have a budget in place. So to support the scientific mission of what, of the organization, what they're trying to do. So it's very, very important to have a budget in place, because that budget will help as far as activating, conducting, and completing an actual trial. And on the budget, the way we prepare our budget, it's mostly centered around, the protocol or the concept. Most of the times we don't have an actual protocol. We just have the concept, and we just develop our budget from there. That's just to give the funder, more of an estimate in a way. So how is AFT is funded? So in this one, before we structure the budget, the concept would need to be approved by our AFT scientific committee. Once we get the approval, the concept comes to me along with the LOI, which is the letter of intent. And then from there, I start the drafting process. So that means I'll have to look at the protocol, look at the table of assessment and so forth, and then put together the actual budget. So once the intake is, the concept is vetted by our committee, the next step is that we go and try to sort out either a pharmaceutical company or a private firm to try to help us out as far as getting this trial up and running. And then from there, a funder will say, okay, well, I can give you the financial support, or they'll say, you know what, we'll just provide the drug supply to you, and that's all we can do. If you can find someone else that can help us out, that'll be great, so we can all be a partner. So creating the master study budget. So once the intake is approved, as I just alluded earlier, I put together the budget, look at the table assessment, and that's how I structure that side of things. Then I have to think about the staffing, side of things as well. So there we include AFT services, along with our vendors, and so forth. So whoever we're going to be dealing with will be part of this budget. And then once the budget is done, then I'll have to submit it to the PM and along with senior management, because they have to look at it as well before it goes out to the funder. Okay? So prior to submitting the budget to the actual funder, there are all sort of criteria that we have to follow, because if we don't follow the right criteria by the funder, they're not going to look at our proposal. They're not going to look at it. So it's very, very important that we follow the rules. And most of the time, we have to submit our proposal via online. And they have also all these deadline dates and so forth. And then once that's done, they will call us up and say, okay, well, now we're interested, so forth, and then they'll tell us, okay, we like the numbers. Sometimes they'll push back and say, you know what, we don't like the numbers because we can't afford this type of trial. And this way we have to work with them. It's an ongoing process. It will probably take anywhere from 2 months to 4 months before we reach a conclusion or reach a final agreement. And once we reach a final agreement, the next step is to put together a site budget. So the site budget then is to jumpstart trying to actually, once we have the final master budget, then we'll put together the site budget in order to get the sites ready for the trial. So in the master budget, we do have, as I just alluded earlier, the AFT services, which includes salaries and fringe benefits, the vendor costs from drug supply, storage, and shipment, CROs, safety monitoring, stats, and data center, and also includes site payments and central IRB. Central IRB, we do have a preferred vendor, and our preferred vendor is Quorum. That's what we use. Sites may come back and say, well, we don't use Quorum, we would like to use another vendor. I think there's another one out there, I think Western IRB, another central IRB. So for development of the site budget, so for this piece of the whole process, our budget is built on whether it's a per visit or cycle visit. So there, again, we look at the protocol assessment, we know what's going to be happening, and then we try to determine what's considered standard of care versus non-standard of care, or what's considered routine care or non-routine care, okay? So once I'm able to get that information, that's how I'm going to structure the whole site budget. And our budget is non-negotiable. So also our site budget does include PI fees, study coordinator fees, and also research nurse fees as well, and other site costs. And all the other site costs would be startup fees, pharmacy startup fee, it could be annual IRB renewal fee, and all the other fees that applies. We'll have them in our site budget. And what we use, or what I use to price this site budget, we have an historical database. An historical database that is built upon budgets that we already negotiated with other sites previously, because we tend to work with the same sites again and again and again. And in order to reduce the negotiation time, we rather just use the same pricing that we just negotiated from the last budget. And we just incorporate that into the new budget. So that's how our budget is built. And our budgets do align with the rules and regulations in place as far as fair market values and so forth. And it does also in line with the what's the other rules? The other rules there, the Sunshine Act, and also the anti-kickback laws. We try to make sure that we have everything covered before we approve our template before it goes out to the sites. And that applies not only for all the U.S., but also for ex-U.S. and on our vendors. And I'm going to let me take this over the slide.
So just in summary, some reminders. If you're serving as a study chair, we ask that you not negotiate on our behalf or agree to dollar figures. Like Bobby said, we've got a historical database, we've got a lot of references, we've got a lot of information, and we just want to make sure that there's numbers that aren't thrown out there that aren't adequate, and then the company says, well, you told me 1 million, but it's really 1.2 million, or It kind of gets into trouble, but we do work with the study chairs to make sure they're in on the loop and they get to review our budgets with us prior to being submitted. Budgets are developed centrally by the Alliance staff, so the two of us here, Vance in Chicago as well. And a lot of times we have short turnaround times due to a variety of reasons. We have to meet a deadline for a company's review committee or other reasons. So we need access to the study chairs and to the appropriate information so we can turn it around in the time frame required. We need to anticipate everything that needs funding in the study, so working closely with study chairs and the study teams to make sure that there's no surprises is important. And then finalizing a budget or a contract may delay study activation, so start the process early. So any questions? And then I just left with the contact information, emails. We're all in the Alliance directory as well, and we'll be around all during the meeting if you want to grab any of us.
I'm sure you guys have questions. I mean, this is one of the key areas. I know Dr. Shu was just talking about budget constraints and so forth. And so I'm sure if you guys have any questions for us. No?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Yeah.